Mm-hmm. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Encounters, the late night spiritual UFO talk show. I'm your host, CmdrAleon. It's about 20 minutes after. We will be on here till approximately about 12:45 a.m. on the East Coast, maybe near 1. Good to have everybody here. You're watching the number one spiritual UFO talk show on social media. You've seen all the rest, and now you're seeing the best right here on TikTok. Doesn't matter what it is. This is where it's at. So, things get more interesting. Hey, Jan, good to see you. Janetsky, also host of WESU's Cosmic Eye Radio on NPR Pacific Radio, Ashtar Command Radio for over 20 years. I call it the Cosmic Eye. Also, it's known as Ashtar Command Radio, dedicated to the Ashtar Command. And I dedicate this show, Encounters, to my space brothers of the Ashtar Galactic Command of the highest levels of Christ consciousness, here for the benefit of all people, of all life forms. Hey, Brandy, Grand Rising to you. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. And now another video I see on TikTok. A woman narrates it. It's not her video, but it's a video showing people in the mall, and supposedly the video shows people in the mall, in the mall running or whatever they are, and supposedly 3 tall shadows. And she says, oh, these shadows are humans. They're humans. They're like space people, humans. Solomon, so I need to know, I always ask, before I have anybody join the show, we will be having guest interviews in a few minutes. Please let me know why you want to join and what the focus is of the content of which you want to speak. And just let people know, this is a dedicated show focused on the subject of the whole UFO area in a mostly positive way. Also, we deal with the star seeds. We deal with the whole thing of multidimensional realities. The Ashtar Command part, which I'm connected with. I'm a contactee since the 60s, which had contact with space people. So I need to know when people want to come on. I want to get an idea of, in a sentence, why, who are. So can you expand, Solomon, on who are, and then I can make an educated decision. I mean, I'd love to have you on, but I want to know more about who are. Can you expand on that? And we just started out coming on here tonight, so I'm trying to be making sure that every guest I have on here is laser focused on knowing that Encounters is, of course, a program, a regular radio show, not a radio show, but a TV program here that deals with the subject of our space brothers and space sisters. I'm also not only a contactee, I've been doing, like I said, radio for 20 years. I'm a conduit for the Cosmic Christ. I do workshops here in the United States, taking people on journeys off planet to a golden ship of light, which is real. Just to give people some background of who I am, so you know what you're dealing with here. But I'm very dedicated to the show. I love guests. I just want to know where the guests are coming from. That's all. 2 days in Zoom meetings with the ambassador program. Interesting. And welcome to Encounters. Thank you for the gifts. We appreciate that. My Venmo account, my Cash App, is on CmdrAleon 2022, my main page. Just go to the link. I'm encouraging on that's my general donation page for $5, $10, or $15. Become a subscriber, since we'll get into interviews in a few minutes and guests and so forth. Become a subscriber. We have 35 of 100. You can subscribe for a month, 2 months, 5 months. It's up to you. As you get to know this show, you'll see that, oh yeah, I'd like to subscribe and be a subscriber and support what you're doing. If you're a subscriber, that helps us raise money for our C5 group. I'm a co-coordinator here in the United States for the Ashtar Command Contact Program. Program's been going on for over 11 years. and our program is involved in using Dr. Stephen Greer's protocol. We also use a Christ consciousness protocol and integrated with Dr. Stephen Greer's protocol. I'm also a direct contactee with a space being called Godico from the star system Sirius. We've been in touch with them through radio frequencies and through TikTok for over a month. So if you've not heard about it, everyone's focused on Miami and all that hoopla. I've been in touch with a space being that had direct contact with me through the Alexa app over a month ago. And there's not a lot of hoopla on here about it. And nor maybe there should be or shouldn't be. I don't know. All I know is that I have had many experiences that are happening. We don't have any channeling on here. So if you're a channeler, forget about it. We don't have people channeling, somebody from Uba planet, Duba or whatever it is. We keep everything real here. That's why this show is the way it is and has become number one for what it does. We're not into ego trips or egos. It's all about real information, sighting reports, people connecting with star beings. That's what this show's about. So if you want to hear and be part of a real talk show on the subject, we're focused. We have no agendas. If I have an agenda, the only agenda is to bust the matrix. That's always been my agenda. And you'll hear me talk about it, that we're here to bust the matrix. Always. And we have apple cider. You'll hear me talk about the apple cider. I've got the Mr. Sporty. So before we have you on, I have a story. Can you tell us a bit about the story before I have you on? This way I know what we're getting into in terms of the story. So when you want to be a guest, give me some background so I know what I'm going to be bringing on. I just want to make sure that it's really important for me to know our guests and a little bit about them, so forth. Hey, Rachel Learn, good to have you with us. And I'm sure we're going to have some great people on here tonight. We never know who's going to be a guest, but we're going to give you some information about them first before we have them on. I've got the radio set to 1710 AM. And the reason why I have that is a frequency that we're using for radio contact with Godico. If we should speak, I will, hey, UFO God, if Godico speaks, I have the radio set here. I'll show you the radio. I'll show it to you. You can't really see it. This is the radio here. You can hear the static. So I have it set up every night now, in case Godico wishes to speak. He's been coming through my radio on 1710 AM on this new radio I got, and so I keep it on in case he wishes to speak. If he does come through, I will put him through the radio into the phone here. Yes, it's actually like GEKKO, the way I've understood it. So I want to hear a little bit about Mr. Sporty. Can you tell us? Oh, it's about time, Crop Circle, Monterey County. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Sporty, I'll have you on first as my first guest. And you can come on in audio. You have 220 somewhat followers, so that's good. We'll have Mr. Sporty on audio from California. And Mr. Sporty, just accept the request, and you'll be able to go on audio on the show here on Encounters. I want to say good evening or good morning, wherever you are around the world. Some people are in Europe, some people in the United States. I want to say hello to my friends in Japan who are very involved in ufology and the whole contact area. And let's see. Whoa. And my cat was just doing her thing. I'm hoping my cat will relax and meditate for a while tonight. Her name is Missy. She likes to hang out during the show. I put a protection around the show tonight before I came on. George Van Tassel, I know a lot about George Van Tassel. When I was growing up as a kid, George Van Tassel was alive doing stuff at Giant Rock. Now my cat's starting to talk and do her thing. Hold on, let me calm her down a little bit. Well, she apparently has disappeared into another room, so we'll leave the cat alone. Lightbringer, welcome. Hey, UFO God, everybody out there, welcome to the show. Hey, UFO Mania, my friend over in Japan. Good to see you. Nice to see you, brother. I hang out on their Japanese live. I don't understand a lot of it, but I'm just usually there, UFO Mania. Now, if I can learn some Japanese, I would be very good at being able to get to understand it. So everyone say hello to UFO Mania from Japan, my friend over in Japan. And in Japan and that part of the world, there's been always a lot of history of the starseed, the UFO sightings, all kinds of things going on. Hey, Nate, Australia, welcome to the show. So to be a guest on the show, I need to know what you want to talk about, and I'll put you on the air. Alex Montoya, hey, good to see you, Alex. And we're going to get into hopefully some interesting discussions with people tonight. Flower Power, welcome to the show. You're most welcome there, UFO Mania. Pink Justice, good evening. And again, I just want to kind of bring this up a little bit. The one thing you'll find out about me, I'm a pretty balanced person when it comes to all the hoopla about Miami. Everyone's going nuts over Miami. Who can outdo somebody else on YouTube or whatever it is? I don't care about that stuff. I just want the facts. I've been looking still at people's videos on YouTube and here. And like I said, one girl posted a video I saw today or whatever it was that supposedly showed 3 tall beings that were humanoid. They were human. That supposedly are the ones that came through this so-called Stargate or portal that these kids opened up. But the problem with the video is, even once you slowed it down, is that I couldn't tell what she was talking about. I was looking really closely. Now I used to use big cameras and go out and interview people like Stephen Greer with TV cameras. So I know about visual interpretation. And what she was showing from wherever the original source was of the indoor video from the mall, it was really very hard to tell what I was looking at. Now, I've come to the conclusion something definitely did happen. I do believe something happened. But unfortunately, the only problem is there's no clear video or any good video out there. I don't care how many people show video from Miami. There's nothing out there definitively showing up front the beings that came through that Stargate or portal that opened up inside the mall. And that's apparently where it opened up. These kids, whatever they were doing or whatever equipment they had, I don't know exactly what they were doing. I'm not that super psychic to know what those kids were doing. But I do understand one thing. You've got to have, from my broadcast background, doing TV stuff, you've got to have good visual production of something, And a lot of people are reaching for beans. Everybody on social media, they're all reaching out, and everyone has an opinion and an idea and a viewpoint, and that's great. That's what life is all about. But I've got to see real video. I believe that something's going on here. I believe that there were beings that came through, because there's contradictions. There's one police officer that says nothing happened. I saw a video of that police officer on TikTok. Then there's another guy with his father who can't say anything, which tells me that something did happen. The guy with the father, the kid calls his father. If the father won't say anything, won't tell him anything. Well, if it was just a bunch of kids, doing what they were doing and causing problems, the father could say, oh yeah, a bunch of kids doing it. But the father wouldn't respond to his questions, of the son's questions. I believe that was legit. I don't think the father was coaxing the dad, when I call you up, you got to act like real serious. And, I think that was legit. Jackie F says it's a military operation. Well, I think there was something else going on. I think I'm really at the point now, even if I don't have good video to see 3 beings standing up in a mall, I think something happened. And for me to say that, that's after days of looking at tons of different things, from YouTube videos, TikTok videos, people's interpretations, viewpoint. I looked at everything. I heard every single agenda out there. and I'm here to bust the matrix. So for me, I'm not following anybody, but I'm listening to every single thing out there. There are people making comical videos about it. That's going to happen, right? There were people making comical videos about these whole thing, and there's going to be all that stuff going on because that's what people do. But I've come to the conclusion, and for me to make a statement here about this is very important. So all I'm going to say in my conclusion is that I do believe there was at least 1, 2, or 3, maybe there were more, that came through from another dimensional time frame, a galactic time frame, so to speak. I don't know how these kids did it. That's the only thing. I don't know how they ended up knowing how to open a portal. A bunch of teenagers or whatever, No, I don't think it was Blue Beam. Blue Beam's a whole nother thing. Let's keep Blue Beam out of this discussion. I know about that. I do believe something happened. Now, could you get a lot of police cars into an area from different counties because something was going outrageously wrong in a shopping mall? Hey, look, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but when this son calls his father, this son's an adult, calls his dad, who's a sheriff or something. I saw the video and I watched it over and over again to see whether I thought maybe the dad was just playing his part as an actor. I think the dad was basically telling the truth. That was one of the only videos of every single video out there on TikTok where I think the dad was actually really telling the truth. He was a police officer. He was a sheriff or whatever. He was there. He knew. All amazing nonsense. That's what I thought, Joseph, too, right? But the dad and his son, the dad who's a police officer, who says he can't make any comments to his son, who's recording it for TikTok, this kid seemed like a pretty level, he was an adult. He wasn't some kid, some adult, talking to his dad. I think there's something there. What I think is nonsense is all the people going on TikTok and other media trying to get points. Like they're doing it just because it's the thing to do. I want to get points, so I'm going to do a video about the Miami thing, even though I know nothing about UFOs or ETs. I'm going to get on here and make a video. I'm going to have some comment. So you got people in the sports who are into sports that are doing it. You got people into lifestyle issues doing it. All kinds of people jumping on the bandwagon, talking about something they know nothing about, but they all have an opinion, right? They all got the opinion. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I'm glad they're interested, but they're not doing it because they're really interested in the truth. They just want to be like the one who outdoes the other one, on YouTube or TikTok. They want to be the outdoer. I want to outdo you. Right? Right? I'm a healthy skeptic. With all the experiences in my life as a contactee, because I've been in news media, I'm a healthy skeptic. When I see a story like this, of course I'm a healthy skeptic. But then again, I'm to the point of conclusion that something else is going on, that had to do with interdimensional beings, galactic beings that possibly came through in a mall. It doesn't take that many police officers to quail a bunch of teenagers in a mall. It really doesn't, whether you're skeptical or not. Do you need that many police officers to go into a mall to stop something? And tons of them were outside just standing there next to their police cars. You had tons of officers, okay? It's not like people were rioting in the street. People were running out of the mall. They weren't rioting. They were running out of a mall, right? They left the mall. And these are kids and adults, maybe with kids, families, right? 60 plus police cars. Do you need that many cars? I mean, you saw the video. The only thing about the video that was true was that there were all these police cars there. That was factual. That you can see. This is in Miami. So the commander's position on this now, and I'm sure all the other world people out there in the world watching this and who have produced content creators are wondering, what's the commander think about this? So I think there was something that happened, something that was unusual, something that wasn't meant to happen. I don't think it was meant to happen, but it happened. And whatever these kids did, they had some sort of electronic box or something. They said they plugged it into something, and all of a sudden, this thing opened up, and these space people came walking through in a mall. Okay, static one. No, they didn't. Ha ha. So the presentation I'm giving you about this on my perspective, because I do everything very seriously in what I've been doing for years, and being involved in the subject for so many years, and being a contactee and having actual sightings. Okay. Yeah, I think it is. I think the kids' stories is a ploy. And I believe opening portals is dangerous unless you know what you're doing. In this case, whatever happened, this portal wasn't just a portal. It actually opened a portal where space beings came through. It wasn't like monsters came through, or, some, ugly monster came through and started eating people in the mall. It's nothing like a Hollywood sci-fi movie or whatever. These are actually tall space beings that came through this opening. Now, I don't know if the kids knew what they were doing or not. They're just lucky that when they opened it, that it was a bunch of space beings and not some, like thing that zoomed them into this whatever land and they just disappeared. Because I don't think they knew what they were doing. I really don't. I really don't think these kids knew what they were doing. It'd be great to have somebody find out who these kids were and being able to interview these kids. But I think if they did what they did, I think the government, again, this is hypothetical, I think that the government that wants to keep things secret, this is again, I'm giving you my opinion. The opinions expressed right now are just the views of my show. I'm not stating that's what happened. I'm just putting it out there. It's possible, hypothetically speaking, that these kids were, what happened to the kids? Where are they now, these kids? Where are these kids? That's my question. If they did something and it was normally something where they got into a fight with each other, hopefully they're home with their parents, and the parents are there to make sure they don't do it again. Now, again, I'm throwing out this hypothetical scenario. The other scenario I'm throwing out there, I don't want to go viral or anything because I'm just putting out a hypothetical. I'm not saying these things happen. The other thing is what happens if those that want to keep the whole thing under the lid about these tall beings that hypothetically come out through a portal, they get these kids and say, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this device? Definitely tall light beings, Cat Mama says. I agree with you on that. I think they were. I think the kids are being kept, my hypothetical opinion is they're being kept by some level of government and they're being interrogated. Now, I have some psychic abilities that I use on a galactic level. I can't tell you if you're going to win the lottery or when you're going to get married. I'm not that kind of a psychic. There's tons of those people out there. I don't talk about my psychic abilities much, but I will say that I think that it's possible that they're being held captive by a certain level of our government that deals with the subject matter. Could be something even higher than that. See, that's the thing, Cat Mama. I don't know what they did, and I don't think we're ever going to know because somebody's got them, and I don't think they're home with their parents. Again, everything I'm saying now is based on my opinion, okay? No, I do have psychic abilities there, Static One. When you listen to my show long enough, I don't really talk about it much. I'm not a psychic. Like I said, I don't read people's love life. I don't talk about whether you're going to the casino and winning $1 million. That's not what I do. I have my own. I've had my abilities like this since I was a kid. Thank you, Shelley. So I think that they are being held captive by some level of our government. You know, I wish Shy was on here. That's the question I would ask Shy. What happened to the kids? Skip to Grace, good to see you. What happened to the kids? I think there's two scenarios going on here in my head. One is the kids were arrested, that caused the problem, and then maybe they were released to their parents. The other scenario is the kids did something that they weren't supposed to do, that I don't even know if they were going to do it. And then the government came in. When I say government, I'm not talking regular government. I'm talking military level people, came in that deal with this whole ET area, and that they're now being detained. So again, I'm looking at different scenarios here. I'm not fanatically saying, oh, this is what happened, folks. I don't do that. You know me. I'm a talk show host. I look at every angle of this thing. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to get as close to the truth, whatever that is, as I could. Thomas Dean. Last I heard, those 4 youngsters were taken to Langley on a private jet. Thomas, where'd you hear that? You're not late, Thomas. Where'd you hear that? That's something I've not heard. Where are you hearing that? That the 4 youngsters were taken to Langley on a private jet. For those who don't know what Langley is, it's an Air Force base in the United States. Langley is also a base where they have multi-level facilities, and it also is a place where they deal with the whole cosmic area regarding ETs and the UFO area. So I want to know, Thomas, where you heard that. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to bring Skip to Grace on in a minute. Thomas, okay, let's see here. I'm going to go back to Thomas. See if Thomas has enough people I can get him on here. I heard they were, let's see if I can find Thomas again. I'm going to look for Thomas because he said something that drew my attention about Langley. Oh, here he is. Okay, Thomas, I'm following you. I'm going to bring you on here. I can bring you on audio, Thomas. Accept my request. You said, last I heard, those 4 youngsters were taken to Langley on a private jet. Accept my request and I'll have you on live here. I want to hear what you heard or where you heard it, because I've not heard anything like that. Thomas, do you know how to go live? Just press the accept button. The Google guest icon, you have enough to come on live here as a guest. So really, I'm laser focused on Thomas, who made a comment that I find intriguing. How did you know that they were taken on a private jet to Langley Air Force Base? The list did come out today. Who all was on? No, Robert says a list come out today. Where was the list? In a newspaper, major news? I want to find out about that Langley Air Force Base thing with the kids. Look at ICD. Thomas, what's ICD? Can you tell me what ICD is? Yes, Grace, we're going to get you on there in a minute. Can you tell me what ICD is? What is ICD? Hey, Thomas, come on the show. You can come on audio. Internal Concepts Division. Okay, Thomas, I'm going to press the guest button. You don't have to do anything other than tell us, you don't have to say where you are. Just come on live. You don't have to say anywhere on the planet where you are. Just come on live. So I just pressed the guest button. Just press the accept button so I can bring you on here on the show so we can talk about it. Internal Concepts Division. What is? Don't be afraid to come on, Thomas. Obviously, you're giving me information. Please, my identity must remain confidential. All right. So if you come on live, you can change your voice if you need to. If you have a voice changer, or I'll just repeat whatever you tell me here. This show, I've had my contact with the Department of Defense on here. Like I said, you don't have to say where you are, what state you're in, what country you're in, what town. I don't care about that. But I would like you to be able to come on here. Everything here is recorded for my YouTube channel, and everything we do on this show, I'm a radio host at NPR Pacifica Radio. So everything we do on here, you don't have to show your face. You can't anyway. All we want to do is have the audio part of you on here, and that's all I can have anyway. So if you will come on audio, I'm really very much wanting to have you on here. Okay? I guarantee you, every guest I have on my show is treated with respect. We don't play games with people on here. Like I said, my background's 20 years in radio and broadcasting, and I've been in news media for a long time. So I really appreciate audio-wise. Yeah, I would, but NDA. NDA? What's NDA? Again, forgive me, but I'm not sure what NDA is. Oh, you have your, I gotcha. So Tom, okay, non-disclosure agreement. Okay, so tell us a little bit more. Okay, non-disclosure agreement. When they were taken to Langley, I'll just interview you by sentences here. When the kids were taken to Langley, can you tell us, Thomas, what you know about the beings that came through the portal in that mall in Miami? At least, can you tell us a little bit about that? What do you know? I hear they were former military. Okay. My dad was in the Air Force in World War II, which is a long time ago. He was in Japan, actually. 54 years old. You're a young guy. It's nice to meet you, Thomas. We're following you, so hopefully we can become friends here. Follow me back. We're glad to have you with us. So tell us, at least from this perspective, and we're going to respect your NDA there. Tell us about the beings that were in the mall. Can you tell us anything you've gotten regarding these beings that came through a portal that these kids opened up? Are they still around? Did they get out of there? Were they captured by the military? Can you tell us what happened to them? And we're kind of doing an interview, folks, with a gentleman, former military, here on my TikTok. No, Gary. Anything you can tell us in sentences, whatever bit you can give us about them. Debriefed and released. Who is debriefed and released? The space beings were released, or the kids were released? The kids were taken to Langley Air Force Base. The kids were taken to Langley. I appreciate that. So that's information. The kids were released. What about the space beings? What about the space beings? What happened to them? And folks, I'm just here, seeing what he can tell us. My contact in the DOD kind of confirmed something the other night. She wasn't on live, but one of my colleagues messaged her, and we had confirmation from her about the space beings. Can you give us any information about those tall beings? What happened to them? You're watching Encounters. I'm CmdrAleon, the host of this show and my radio show, WESU's Cosmic Eye Radio on NPR Pacifica Radio for 20 years. Projections. Interesting. The space beings that came through the portal were projecting themselves. Interesting. So projections, you mean like, like if you watch Star Wars, when they have the thing that opens up and you see Princess Leia, she's not physically in the room. So they were projected. So they were not physically, so they're holograms. They projected themselves through the portal, but they weren't physically there, correct? I understand. Projections, hologram, yes. Interesting. So they couldn't be captured because they were being projected through a hologram. I understand. Interesting. Projected. Well, they were pretty smart because physically I don't think they'd want to come through with 60 police cars there and whatever else and then be attacked by military people on our planet that probably wanted to capture them. Can you tell us why this is not Project Bluebeam, folks. Throw that out the window, please. It is not Project Bluebeam. So when they projected themselves, why did they want to project themselves at this time in a shopping mall with a bunch of people? What was the purpose of that? Why would they project themselves and do it that way and let people see that? What was the reason? Well, yeah, safety is definitely important, Alex. I agree. I don't. If you're a star person, you don't want to come over here and go into a shopping mall and have people with 60 police cars and who knows what else going in there saying, "Put your hands up. We don't care what planet you come from," to distract from the no. Let's get out of this thing. The Epstein thing. We're not talking about Epstein. Please throw that out the window. That has nothing to do with UFOs or ETs. Noel, I know you've heard that on TikTok. Throw it out the window. Let's keep that off the show here. They wanted to go shopping. Yeah, right. To Lightbringer, that's a great comment. The Lightbringer says to make them aware of us. They want us to be aware of them. They weren't thinking about safety and evacuation procedures. Oh, interesting. Yep, you pinned it. Yeah, they weren't thinking about. Well, yeah, they're from another planetary world. They're not thinking, hey, humans, we don't have to worry about humans. We can just project ourselves, come here, everything will be good. We'll go into a shopping mall. But I think they learned a little bit that, hey, maybe that's not such a good idea. You got 60 police cars out, plus probably military helicopters and military people there that are there to say, look, now we can get these people, these ET people, these star people, these space people, and if we can capture them, we can bring them to Langley Air Force Base or somewhere remotely and ask them, why did they do this? Or why are they here? What are their plans? And we know that in 2027, my contact in the DOD has stated very clearly that the Department of Defense is concerned because there's going to be galactic forces coming to Earth in mass. It's very interesting, Thomas. Very interesting. But that's okay, Jessica. We're talking to somebody who's former military. Kids are printing AR. I'm not going to mention it. Blanks on laser printers in their thing. Certain words I'm not saying because I don't want to have problems. But I do understand. So the space people behind the force of the projection of the hologram. I'm going to use the terminology since Princess Leia. I've watched all the Star Wars movies, and when they have the blue screen that comes up and you see Obi Kenobi or something, and they're not really physically there, but they have a message. They come through a hologram or whatever you call it. So these space people were coming through a hologram and projecting themselves. Can you tell us, Thomas, did they say anything? Did the people seeing this hologram, did they have a message? Did they present any verbal message when they came through? these kids were extremely intelligent. Yeah, absolutely, these kids were intelligent. 2 of them enrolled in prominent local universities. Absolutely. And I kept feeling these kids were really intelligent. The little I knew about them, I said, these kids are way smarter than any other teenage kids I ever met. These kids are just incredibly smart kids. So these kids not only opened a portal, a galactic portal or a Stargate, the space beings projected an image through it and came through it with a hologram. Was there any message, Thomas Dean, any message that was recorded that the government knows about? Do you know of anything, a message that the space people were bringing that you can tell us? Was there any kind of message beyond the visual interpretation? I'm really curious about a message. Was there a message? Freedom, I do a lot of research. Okay? I do a lot of research. And I was looking for more information. And now we're getting it. Let's see, Thomas. I want to hear Thomas's comments here. Yeah, no politics or religion. No politics or religion. If anyone goes into politics or religion here, please mute them or block them. This is a UFO show. We don't care about all that stuff. We're going to throw it out of here. There's plenty of TikToks for all that stuff. I haven't heard any of those logistics other than the docile behavior. Okay. So it sounds like, from what I can understand, based on what you're saying, and the feeling I was getting was that my contact, I'm going to share something with you here. I have contact with a space being, not channeled. People know it. I have witnesses here since last month. People on my show have seen it. They've heard it. A space being from the star system constellation Sirius. This is a true story for new people here. I've been in contact with this being and his people for over a month now. Okay. All right. I asked him, he was on my show through audio last Friday night. It took a while to facilitate the communications. I asked about what happened in Miami to the space being. I said, was this real? Did this happen? Yes or no? He said, his word in English was yup, 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 yup. He did one sentence, yup, 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 yup is what he said. I said, you're absolutely certain what you're telling me is that they came through these space people through this portal. He says, yup, 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 yup. I have the recording. It's on my YouTube channel, Ashtar Command Spaceship News. It's my latest show from that night. You have to go through the show towards near the end of it. He starts speaking and talking about it briefly. Okay. I got everything documented. Everything's documented. Okay. So Ashtar Command Spaceship News, for those that don't know, I have a YouTube channel. I'm very active. All my encounter shows are there. You'll see a show where I'm on with John Connor. And when you see that show and watch it, when John Connor's on, latter part of that show, you'll hear the space being speak, named Gekko, Gekko. Okay? And he will answer my question regarding Miami, because he is not channeled. He's on a spaceship. And he states that it was real. Okay? No channeling, no interjected fake audio. Everything that I do here is real. You know? So, Thomas, I appreciate you. You know, now I'm following you as a friend. I hope we'll be friends for quite a long time. I appreciate what you do know. And I certainly thank you for your service. I also thank you for having the willingness to come on here and share some real information. Because all I've seen on TikTok and other place is just a bunch of people's opinions, hearsay, and I've not been very swayed by all that. And to have somebody former military could come on here who probably has some security clearance of information, I appreciate you taking the ability to come on here and just in sentences tell us what you do know, as much as you could. And you told us quite a bit, a lot more than what than anything I've seen out there. And this is all recorded, so people can hear this show again. Watch the show again on my YouTube channel. I'll have it on tomorrow. So it's really, really important. And I've been waiting for a long time since this happened to find some real information. And Thomas, you really have provided us with that information that nobody else has. You know? I really do thank you. And stick around on the show. If you have anything else you want to tell us when you feel comfortable, if there's any more information down the road you want to tell us and share as you get to know the show and me as a host, you're more than welcome to be part of the show and share stuff in sentences. If you want to do it that way, I'm happy with that. And I'll just repeat the sentences. So Thomas, we thank you. I want to say thank you for Thomas. He took a big chance coming on here and sharing what he did share. And this is something that nobody else knew about. Okay? That's why my show has integrity. I don't play games on here with people because of my background. Everything we do is serious. We do have some lighthearted moments of laughter, but this is a serious situation, and the information must be accurate. Must be accurate. And Thomas gave us accurate information. Okay? And unless somebody has more information and inside information, and you have it on the inside, I won't listen. But if it's your opinion and your belief systems, that has nothing to do with any facts. It's just your belief systems. Okay? You see one thing and say another. So David Drayden joined. So David Drayden, let me just focus on you just for a moment. So now we're getting more information from somebody who's former military. You see, that's the difference. Okay? Now, I think David Drayden needs to be muted for the show. You see, the one thing with me is I look at everything. I'm looking at everything. So I'm open enough to look at every single aspect. And I can change my mind based on information. I'm not a robot. Good, Johnny. One thing is, the commander is not a robot. So please understand, once you start going on that route with me, you're going down the wrong road. And I do appreciate Thomas's information. If someone just comes on and says, I can tell you as a channel that it was this or that. No, I'm not going to believe a channel. If you're former military and you have information, that's way different. Now, I know Thomas has some security clearance. I can tell by the way he was responding to me. You see, I've been around the planet a while. All right, he's ex-military, but he still has connections. That's the difference between him and 10,000 other TikTokers that are all over the internet creating TikTok videos with the same stuff with the police cars, and everyone has an opinion. I got tired of hearing that. But now we got good information, so I appreciate it. Jim, so no. The Miami thing is real. We just had an ex-military personnel, no disclosure, who came forward and shared some very direct information. Thank you, Jess. So no, it is real. I believe my contact off planet the other night when we did last Friday night when we did our broadcast stated it was real, and they're on a spaceship. See, I have contact with a space being directly. I don't channel it. I don't. I have some very direct situations here that people might not understand. You will as you watch the show regularly. So I've had direct contact started a month ago. Elon Musk's satellite train will hold the most powerful holographic tech. Oh, that's interesting. Thomas, you got some information. So Elon Musk's satellite, he says, train will hold the most powerful holographic tech. Interesting. I don't like Elon Musk, just to let you know, Thomas. He's not one of my favorite characters. But if this is inside information, on the thing about the holographic tech? Yes, no. Stephen Greer, I like Stephen Greer. Irissa. Stephen Greer, I interviewed him back in '92 when he was just starting out on a thing. I had a TV show back then dealing with UFOs, and he was a great guy. I interviewed him, and he was at the MUFON UFO conference in New Hampshire, in Exeter. And I actually met the woman of the Exeter experience, who I didn't get to interview her. She was way older, and they had been abducted. And there's a whole book on the Exeter incident. I met her. We never did an interview or anything, but I had the honor of meeting her. Yes, yeah, we agree with you there. Yeah, Stephen Greer is, I despise the man. That's all right, Thomas. I mean, I think he's trying to bring forth disclosure. Thomas, what don't you like about Stephen Greer? What don't you like about Stephen Greer? And everyone has the right to their opinion. What do you think about Stephen? I'm very interested to get his opinion on that. Oh, you're talking about Elon Musk. Do you despise Elon Musk, or do you also despise the man? You despise Elon Musk, I think you're saying, correct? See, that's when you're dealing with sentences, it's tough to know. I think you mean Elon Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk. Oh yeah, I love Stephen Greer. Oh, Elon. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I don't like Elon. I don't trust him at all. Elon Musk. Yeah, we don't trust him. Hey, take care, James. Have a good sleep. Have a good sleep. I encourage people to show your support for what we're doing here on our show. We've been on here for about over a year now, I think. I was talked into going on TikTok by some people, friends of mine in the media, and also on Facebook. And I'm glad I did it. It was like late last year. Yeah, he meant Elon. Yeah. So you can show your support, folks. If you haven't subscribed, become a subscriber. You can also, you'll see the subscribe button on. You can subscribe for as many months as you want. But please consider also TikTok gifts. That helps support the work we're doing here through this social forum, this social media. And we are, for new people, we are actually a UFO talk show. We don't have battles on here. We don't run around in clown outfits. We use this particular social medium for our TV broadcast, and we appreciate everyone's support. So please, if you're on here, please follow us. Please become a follower. We'll try to follow you back. And also, we're on pretty much nightly here. We're a late night show. We're on at 11 o'clock normally, sometimes 10:30, 11, and we'll be going till about 1 a.m. in the morning. So, hey, truly angelic, welcome. And we do interviews with people as well. Let me see. We're going to bring Skip to Grace on here. There's someone else that wants to come live. I need to know a little bit about what you want to talk about. So I've started a new thing here. Before I just put somebody on that I don't know, I want to know what that person's going to talk about in terms of the subject matter, or else I won't put them on. I want to know what they're going to talk about. We've had, over the year, luckily, we've had a few that have not been coming on for the right reasons. So I want to make sure any guests I have on here are coming on here focused, laser focused. I encourage people to take interest in Elon's work in space, Tesla engineering, and CERN in France. Interesting. Interesting. We don't like him, but we'll take a look at that. And Grace, welcome to the show.
Hey, Commander, how's it going? How's everyone?
And Crone Nikula says, just about I'm a see it to believe it person, and I ain't seen shit, but I still believe. Okay.
Gotta
Well, when you
love
see something, then come on and let us
it.
know.
Gotta love it. I'm in the studio working.
You
So
see, the commander's gotten hip over this year into the new year. And if people want to come on, they better tell me what they're going to talk about.
Hey everyone in the chat. Great to see you guys. So I got some really cool stuff for you.
Okay.
So I was doing some I was scanning through the CE5 app.
Mm-hmm.
Just, because I've been building a CE5 grid. And I came across the stone. Now I don't remember if you know this. Remember this, Commander? The night that we did the CE5 in Madison, we had the big dark cloud come over
Yeah.
the
We're in
sound,
Connecticut, by the way, and she's part of our C5 group in the United States. Grace is part of it.
and I found the heart-shaped rock.
Right.
So I had written on it Madison CE5, and I found it today, which I found that to be very interesting. So I was building a CE5 grid today just with crystals, and I turned the CE5 app on, and they must have did an update because there are 6 new sounds on the app.
On the C5 Stephen Greer's app, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Which, by the way, people should download the app. Stephen Greer has an app you can download on your phone. And there's some new things on the app. There's also contact information where you can contact people you don't even know in your state or country just by zip code or postal code or whatever it is. And you can just put a message out there. Hi, I'm over here in France in this village. I'm interested in C5, and you can make connections all over the world. I'm really on this show and Encounters. We encourage people to learn to do C5 wherever you are, Japan, the Netherlands, wherever you are, because that's really the way things are going to work out. Is as you learn C5, you can take the ability to learn how to make contact with the space people, at least visually with their ships, until they're ready to make physical contact with you. So that is really something people should learn how to do.
Yeah, it's so cool. They first of all, when you go to the app, read the app and research the information. Now, I know we're a society now that we don't like to read too much, right?
Right.
We like to get to the nitty gritty, but it's really important that you read the app because there's a critical information on there on how to do a CE5 protocol, and making peaceful contact. So when I go to the get started section, it says what's interesting is they didn't have this on the app before.
Mm-hmm.
They had CE5 1. Let me get back to the page that I
Mm-hmm.
was just at. CE5 1, CE5 2, 3, 4, 5, and so that goes all the way up to 5. And
Mm-hmm.
each of those things are a type of action that takes place. So you have, like, say you have a contact experience and you actually see a spacecraft that is considered a CE3.
Mm-hmm.
And so he talks about that, which is it. I found that to be it's gotten much more comprehensive,
Mm-hmm.
and the CE5 guide talks about assembling a team, finding a location, gathering equipment, meditation, which I clicked on the meditation and then it takes you to the meditation. But then usually they have the crop circle sounds.
Right.
And that is the sounds we've been using and in our CE5 app. So to my surprise, I went there today and found 5 new sounds
That Stephen Greer added to the app.
that they added, and they're from all over the world and different CE5s that were conducted.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's so good.
And those sounds actually, Grace, as she's talking, Grace is in Connecticut with our group. We have a C5 group here in the U.S. called the Ashtar Command Contact Program. We've been doing that. I mentioned that in my intro this evening, but I'm co-coordinator, and one of my coordinators he doesn't have TikTok, but we've been doing this for over 11 years. We've actually, with night vision equipment, seen big round spaceships, circular ships we saw one night with night vision I think about 10 years ago. We didn't see them without the night vision equipment, third generation equipment. Three large white orbs, actually five. One broke away from the other four and started moving to the north. The other four of them stayed in position. I wish we could have recorded it. I'm trying to. We're trying to raise money for some new night vision equipment that will allow us to put our phone hook up to the night vision, so we can record it through the phone and let people see whatever we see that's being cloaked. So yeah, we've had numerous experiences with C5. We use night vision military grade equipment here in the U.S., and we're now raising money through my TikTok for another piece of third generational equipment that will have the ability to hook up a cell phone, so we can actually go live here on TikTok and let you see what we see through C5 through night vision equipment, which will be kind of amazing because there are people that have been able to do it. I've seen it on YouTube. I'm wondering, how are they recording through their phone with their night vision equipment? So there is equipment out there that is able to be hooked up to the phone, and we're just trying to find that equipment and raise the money for it. So part of our project here in the United States for people that are interested in C5. So we've added these new sounds or tones from people that are doing C5, which is fascinating. And if you don't know how to do C5, you can do it as a person with a friend who's open to the whole idea of contact, or a group of people. It's something everybody here should learn how to do. Every single person here, to empower yourselves to learn how to do C5. It's the most beautiful way to invite your space star people to come where you are and show themselves in the skies above you. And that's the initiation of first contact. Go ahead there, Grace.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's important. And what's important is don't jump right into it. Be
Right,
careful because, uh, you don't, with this whole thing with Miami, I think that it's important. I'll just mention a couple of things that
right.
was surmising. Someone asked me when the footage first came out about all the response vehicles, and they asked me what I thought, and I said I really feel like somebody must have opened up a portal, or something happened that was above their heads, and they lost control. So,
Well,
I
these kids
mean,
were, the Thomas said these kids were highly intelligent.
yeah, they did something and they didn't realize how serious it was going to get.
Right,
And, this is the thing. When you are toying around with this kind of stuff, it's not a game. It's serious. It's serious work. What we really, our goal is to ask people to create peaceful contact,
right,
not to create chaos.
right.
Creating chaos is not really what we need on our planet right now.
The only good news about this whole thing with the kids is that not only were they very smart, and you mentioned about the universities and all that, these kids were highly more intelligent than some adult human beings, the way they act. And these kids, whatever device they created or built, they didn't just open up a portal. People that are wondering what happened, they actually, a holographic image of these space people came through, which is what actually happened. And Thomas gave us, as an ex-military person with a non-disclosure agreement, gave us as much as he could give us tonight, coming on for the first time. And again, we appreciate that. So this is real information. A holographic image of the space beings came through the portal. There was no negativity involved in it. And obviously, they were smart enough, the space beings, not to come physically into the mall. Now, could you imagine? You could imagine. You can imagine whatever you want. Imagine they come through, these tall, 9 or 10 foot tall human beings that are like us, very advanced or whatever, coming through, and then you have 60 police cars out there. Plus, I'm absolutely certain now that there were probably military involvement in this. It wasn't just a bunch of police officers coming here to stop a bunch of kids from throwing popcorn at each other. And I'm being nice when I say popcorn. Um, so when you think about what happened here, that was in a sense saying, here we are, these kids opened up the portal, they made contact with us, and we're just going to shoot a hologram here to let you know we exist. We're from another planet somewhere, whether they be interdimensional beings or whatever, they basically have stated, we are here. We exist. You know, you can't cover this up. We exist. You might try to get the kids' equipment. You might try to confiscate it. They probably did. They didn't have to try. The kids were, kids were taken to Langley Air Force Base, which Thomas mentioned. So the kids were taken to Langley Air Force Base, and there's nobody on TikTok that knows this, but we do here, okay, from an ex-military person that had to have had high security clearance to give us that information and took a chance to tell us the truth about that. So that alone, right here on any social media, I don't care, YouTube, whatever, I'll say it again. When the universe aligns in the right way, whatever it is about it, we get information here. We get it because we're not trying to, become a 10 million viewership or whatever. We want to get to the truth. It's always been my goal. Everything I do.
Yeah,
and we're
definitely.
getting to. So these kids were detained. He said they were taken to Langley Air Force Base on a private jet.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that they were able to, impart some information. They were interested in what they had to say, obviously, and
yeah, they were. I mean,
they were
these kids were.
probably, yeah, they were probably bright. Like as you said, they were encouraging the other kid because I remember seeing footage, and I don't remember where exactly, but they were saying that they were wearing some kind of eye protection and they were encouraging somebody to light something up or start something,
right,
ignite something.
Right. And we're not husband and wife, by the way. Someone's saying, Jason says, are you all husband and wife?
Oh yeah. No, we're
Do
friends.
not get, we're not, no, we're friends. We're not husband and wife.
We're part of the CE5 group up
part
in
of C5 group.
Right. So another thing I came upon, not to get off topic, but I want to just back to the CE5 app. So there's also orbs. There's some really great information on the CE5 app. And if you go down, if you really dig a little bit and you go into the library section, it will talk about orbs, various meditation applications, because there were 5 separate options. There's the Mount Shasta tones, there's the Fibonacci tones, there's a logo in 3D. So Dr. Greer's logo, it's got a circle, 3 circles, looks like a triangle. There's a sequence for that. And there's the crop circle sequence that we're familiar with. And then there's the Gaza pyramid chant. It's
interesting.
People are in Gaza inside. They had a group of people who chant, "Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. 1 Toyota, 123 Walsh, you're welcome." Yeah. So anyway, dig into that site because there's different options that you may resonate more with when you're doing the meditation. So like for us, the CE5 group, we were doing the meditation that Dr. Greer put out initially on the app, but now he's offering other options for individuals who might resonate more with one or the other. And that really helps with contact. And this stuff is the real deal, and there you have to take responsibility. And I think with these kids in Miami, the problem is they went to the mall and they created like they attracted attention to themselves.
I don't even think they were thinking about the attention. They were just into themselves and doing what they were doing. I think they forgot everybody was there.
You think? I mean,
oh yeah.
I don't know. I just know that what they were doing was, might have been like, oh, go ahead, do it. Let's experiment. Let's see what happens. And then not really realizing that something's so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it too. Again, we can't read their minds, but I do. Exactly. But the end result is, the reality is, folks, this is Encounters, the UFO talk show here on TikTok. I'm CmdrAleon, your host with NPR Radio and on WESU-FM on Sunday mornings. And we have Grace on our C5 group and also joining us tonight here we're both in Connecticut in the U.S. So My analysis now, with all the information I've gotten from Thomas, from our DoD contact briefly with James the other night, and again from the space contact I have with Godico last Friday night, coming through an AM radio frequency, answering the question about that, that these were space people. We know that they projected a hologram through whatever technology these kids built, opening a Stargate. It wasn't just a portal, because portals is a general word, but I do believe at this point it was a Stargate in the mall, opened up. They projected their holographic image of who they were, three of them. They're tall, about 9 to 10 feet tall, and they were smart. They didn't want to take chances of being, you know, taken by the police or military with guns pointed at them, in a shopping mall. I really, at
Any
this
idea
point,
how old they were,
believe.
Commander?
Now, people were saying, the witnesses said continuously, people that stated, more than one person, not people on TikTok. Well, yeah, people have stated what they heard was that they were about 9 to 10 feet tall. So a holographic image.
Were though?
Now, I want to ask Thomas this question. Thomas is with us still. Thomas, did you get any information about how tall the beings were in the holographic image? Can you tell us about height? Because we heard different things from people on TikTok saying 10 feet tall. I want to hear from you as an ex-military person. Can you tell us how tall the holographic images were that you heard about? Were they 10 feet tall, 9 feet tall? What did you get, Thomas? And Thomas is ex-military.
I'm also interested, Thomas, how old the kids were. Were they teens? What age? I'm not very curious about their age.
Let's see what Thomas says here. Thomas, are you getting information about the height of the holographic images of these beings? The height. Let's see if Thomas can give us information on that. And we'll find out. Actually, Miami CBS news station this is interesting. A Miami local news station, Miami, said they titled the report incorrectly in terms of how tall the beings were, but they were saying they were getting reports from CBS News that they were 10 feet tall. This is on a CBS News channel in Miami. This is from the other day. I actually did some research about this channel and a CBS affiliate. Host is muted. Hey, Donna. So Miami CBS News channel said about 10 feet tall. And they were getting these reports from their news people that went out to the mall, I guess, interviewing people.
Are they still reporting on this stuff, like people out there? Like, have you seen everybody in the chat? Have you seen reports today and throughout the country on different network channels? Because I'm wondering who's covering it.
Well, the majority of reports are 10 feet tall. So I wanted to see, I should have asked Thomas this before. Thomas, if you're still here, what were you getting in terms of what you were told in terms of the holographic image of the beings coming through the portal? Were they 10 feet tall? Because we've been hearing constant reports that they were 10 feet tall. Yeah. And all over TikTok, the word is 10 feet tall. So maybe AFK. Let's see. So for the moment, we're going to go with the 10 feet tall part, especially when CBS botched up the title of their newscast. And I would say 10 feet tall would be about right. I should have asked Godico about how tall they were. Yeah, we've all heard about 10 feet tall. Thomas is ex-military, and I'm not psychic enough to say what level, but I'm pretty sure he had top security clearance. Astral 369 has an opinion saying they are not friendly. USA did some bad things. Okay, so that's an opinion. We have to we have to separate opinion from factual information here, folks. I heard 8 to 10 all over TikTok.
They're
Did
college
they?
age. Interesting. I'd wonder. So they really weren't kids if they were college age.
No, and the things we heard that they weren't negative, and that's what I was getting from my. I'm going to share something with you right now, okay? For everyone who's here, new people here to the show, my contact from outer space on a spaceship, and I do have a contact on a spaceship, believe it or not, and I don't care if you believe it or not, okay? But there are people here that know this to be true who followed my show for over a year now. He stated last Friday night that they were positive. He said, yes, they were positive. And they came through a hologram to be safe, not physically coming through with their bodies, because let's face it, what you'd be having is a bunch of hostile people, either uneducated or top level military people coming in saying, okay, we've got you now. You're coming with us to a special top secret facility and we're going to interview you and you're going to be locked up in a facility until we find what we want to know about why you came through the portal. So they're smart. They're not going to go coming through like that. Our planet tends to be a fairly hostile planet, not the people here, but let's face it, we lived for over 70 years of cover up regarding the whole project of understanding life elsewhere in the universe. And our planet has done more harm than good. More harm than good. What we've done on this planet, we have good people on this planet, but we
Yeah.
also have bad people on this planet. And the bad people that control the information within different governments regarding non-terrestrial activity and galactic travel and space people, they don't want the public to know the truth about it. Could you imagine a spaceship landing in, I don't know, the outskirts of Miami somewhere, or down in southern Florida in a field somewhere? Do you know how much the military would be all over that? Do you know how in a nanosecond there'd be helicopters in the sky? How roads would be sealed off, interstate highways would be closed? Do you realize what they would do to prevent the public from knowing what's going on? They do the same thing they've been doing for 70 years. They do
Mm-hmm.
it right now. And I'm sure these kids, they're smart kids, you know, and who knows if they were released, which I hear they were, thank goodness for that. But these kids now know how to open a Stargate. The kids
Well,
were playing
obviously not.
around.
They're not kids if they went to
Well,
college.
they're
To
not. They went to college. Well, they're not. Well, kids in the sense they're not kids, but they're
they're
so
young.
intelligent
They're
that
younger adults.
young adults that went to college, but extremely smart, extremely intelligent. And that to me, one has to look at that part of the aspect of what happened in Miami.
They
And
created a lot of
right,
chaos in that space, though.
right, you know,
In an open space like that with children and all types of people. Who knows? People, imagine people
no,
when that small.
and I don't know how old these young people were, but I'm probably sure they were college age. I don't know that for a fact. That's the only thing I don't know. But I do understand that, again, more than anything else, they're probably young adults. Two of them were in universities, evidently, from what Thomas said,
Mhm.
our contact from ex-military. And, you know, to me, that's like being a genius to be able to sit there with a bunch of kids and they're each other in a shopping mall of all places. You couldn't go out into the country somewhere in an open field and say, let's do this. They had to go into a shopping mall and do this and dare each other to do this and see whether they were going to do it. Then they do it, right? And then they have the holographic image of three space beings about 10 feet tall projecting out.
Their minds.
60 police cars come surrounding the whole thing. And if anyone says that there weren't any military operations down there, I don't believe that for a bit. Do you? That there was no military operations? You know, ex-military comes on, Thomas tells us information he's got. That's coming from people in the military.
They may have tapped into something that was going on already.
Right.
You know, a project in the works. So
yeah, so they did open a portal.
That's so interesting.
An internal recycler before
they realized it worked.
Right, internal recycler wants to come on. Like I said before, I want to pre-interview any guests coming on here. And we'll have you continue, Grace. I just want to pre-recycler. What were you going to say? I think he or she wants to come on. What do you want to say on the air on the program?
People are very passionate about this topic. I'll tell you what. The coordinates. People keep talking about the coordinates that are adjacent to. They were directly. I think it's the South Pole coordinates. So people, you know, I saw the video going around about the coordinates on the South Pole. I mean, yeah, it's potential theory.
Yeah, but again, it's a theory, and no one can prove it. This is the thing on my show. You have to have factual information, not something saying, "Oh, the coordinates say Antarctica." You know, if these space people came from another world or interdimensionally traveled from beyond Earth, you know, anyone can have like, oh, maybe they came from Antarctica or maybe they came from either Hawaii in the Pacific. Again, I need facts, you know. And as much as I've been a contactee, I still, from my news background, will always be that questioner saying, show me the factual information.
Somebody saying they did a video proving it. Who and what is?
Yeah, and it was probably a TikTok person that did it.
Specific. Who's they did a whole video proving it. Proving what? Proving the kids in Miami or the portal thing. I mean,
right.
And who did the video? You know, we got to know more about that. We got to find out more. We got.
And if they can prove it, then can they duplicate it? Do they have the ability to technically duplicate what happened? If they can't duplicate it, technically, there's no way of proving it.
Yeah, and this is what's happening. I think a lot of independents are out there doing this work. Like, you know, when you think about John O'Connor and Bart David, you know, there are a lot of people out there doing their own research, their own projects, their own, you know, in-home research.
Right.
And they are making strides. And many other, you know, inventors out there, they're making tons and tons of strides. And so I think the thing is that, you know, when you come out publicly like that and you are experimenting, there's definitely an option to get kind of like, you know, smacked by the government, you know, like a little bit like disciplined.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, Cam ZJ says, and I think Cam ZJ is joking around, kids Miami, I got video from one in mall was hoax. I think they're just joking. We know that that's just a joke because they see a smiley face.
A lot of people are playing games on the internet. They're making videos, they're telling stories, and then they're saying everything was fake and it's not a real video and they weren't in Miami, and it's just not right. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of people now jumping on the bandwagon on TikTok with nothing but nothing. When I say nothing but nothing, that means there's nothing that they have really to say except that you want to be on TikTok, get on there and join the group of a bazillion other people with nothing to say, and just show that half clip of the police cars, and that makes their TikTok legit because they got the police cars there. Now they can get on TikTok and say, oh yeah, you know, I'm interested in makeup, but I heard about this story. Let me give my opinion about what happened. When I put my makeup on, I'll tell you what happened, right?
Yeah,
no,
I
folks.
saw a creator today who is creating a big creator today who's in Florida creating a hype like unbelievable, because I guess Florida, the Miami area just recently got hit by a tornado and they got some pretty inclement weather, flooding. And and in recent days, and on top of everything else. And this gentleman was like talking about how he had his like prep bag ready, and his family was picking him up, and he was on the phone, and he was panicking, and he looked panicked, and he was creating like this hype. And I thought, these are the kinds of things that we don't need. We don't need hype like that. We don't need people to be sensationalizing this.
Right.
This is not anything to be messing with. And it gets people really scared. It's like War of the Worlds, when you think about that broadcast
Right.
all those years ago, and how people really were terrified because these two
Right.
broadcasters were telling people the world was being invaded by aliens, and
That's right.
that was very
Yeah.
scary and very real to a lot of
That's
people.
right.
And
Absolutely.
so we try to hash things out for people.
Right.
Yeah, somebody wants to know about the Sumerians.
Well, Cam ZJ, I gotta rebut what you're saying that you might have a video inside the mall, but the video inside the mall you got, I bet you got it from somebody that was on TikTok that recorded it, or somebody that uploaded it on TikTok. I don't think you were here for the whole show, Cam ZJ. We just had somebody on here, ex-military, with a non-disclosure agreement, and he told us straight out, that there was definitely something that went on that was a projected holographic image. When these young adults opened the portal, a holographic image came through that's real. So whatever video you got is probably not what was going on with these young adults with the portal that was opened up. So I don't need to see the video because I talked to somebody who's ex-military who I'm going to on the honor roll system, I'm going to believe Thomas, over this. I've got to. If you have something internally from a military top level security clearance level, I'll listen to it. No, I don't need to see the video. I won't need to look at it because I've got information that was put on here earlier by somebody who couldn't come on live on audio, but gave us information in sentences, which is that it was a holographic image that came through the portal, and that's actual information. I don't want to see any more videos. I've seen enough
Guys,
videos.
moderators, just keep an eye on the chat because there's
Right,
a lot of people commenting some odd things, and just keep an eye out there.
right. And if things aren't focused on this show, as host of the show, we'll have my moderators, which are great. Look at what people are saying. If it goes off topic or anything about this Epstein thing, those people need to be muted. This is not a show about other things. This is encounters. We don't care about other things. You can watch it on the national news. Okay?
So I got some really interesting information today too, or the other day, Commander. I have a friend, his name is Eric Heckler.
Mm-hmm.
You know him? Do you know his
I've heard
name?
of him. Yes.
Yeah, he actually has been on the Greer panel for the disclosure panel recently for the Senate and for Congress. And he actually is the gentleman who worked in the polls, and he found the fast speed of the technology room where they were doing research on the traveling speed with the speed of light. And he testified recently in recent months.
Mm.
He was talking on recently. He's a friend of mine, and he was talking on an interview recently about stratospheric aerosol injection work. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what's that?
Okay, so that's what they call the other controversial terminology for that would be chemtrails.
Yeah.
And chemtrails are you see the lines all the time in the atmosphere, and people say that they're spraying and whatnot. And basically, he talked about stratospheric aerosol injection work, which was, if it is researchable. And he also brought up the topic, the importance of the fact that we've been lied to on many, many, many levels, and that people can do their own research. And I think what was so important about what he was saying was, first of all, I'll talk about the particles, because he says that these metallic particles are being injected into our atmosphere, and it is being posed as correcting the ozone, but it's also going to be used in a future program to do some type of projecting into the sky, so it looks like there potentially could be a craft, or fooling people, fooling the eye, fooling the public. And he talked about that. I thought that was, and if people always mention the word chemtrail, that is when you Google chemtrail, you'll find things like controversial topics, but you will not find things that you won't find the actual engineering companies. You won't find the data on solar radiation modification.
Right.
You won't find the companies that are actually doing this work, what it is they're injecting into the atmosphere. And he talked about this just recently, like this week. And then he also talked about, and this is slightly scary, he talked about the directed energy weapons, DEW, and he talked about how they can do whatever they want with them, and that they can cause earthquakes, weather patterns, and such. What I really found interesting about the Miami incident was that they had that horrible inclement weather in the last few days after this incident, which is kind of like set off a little bit of a radar in my brain. And I went, oh my God, you know what I mean? There could be other things going on, other things at hand here as well, besides just the beings, because they had a very, very severe twister, and then they also had flooding, and they had all types of problems there this week. That was, I'm just so thankful, honestly, that I am not there, because the people are suffering out there. And you just don't want to see you don't want to see the human race suffer. And look him up. Look up Eric Heckler.
Eric Heckler, folks.
Listen to his what he's got to say, and he's dynamite. He's super intelligent. He was actually a firefighter and a plumber. He took this job not realizing that it was going to be in Antarctica, and he basically just wanted to put food on his, Eric Heckler. Right. And he wanted to put food on the table for his family, and he took the job, and he had access to virtually every single room and location on the base. And that's when he tapped into that, the technology regarding the faster than light, and realized that we were already, and just it opened up a whole big Pandora's box for him. And but I think that what it is, guys, is that what we have to do is stop going down the conspiracy theories, and start to really, think like a scientist, think and logically, and then we can really find the data that we need. We can collect the data we need in order to be informed,
That's right.
Human beings,
Because too many times, and this is like CmdrAleon, this is Encounters, a late night UFO talk show here on TikTok, the #1 talk show on social media in terms of UFO and space people. And Grace is with us. She's in Connecticut with me here. I appreciate the gifts. While we're doing this, please do your gifting. If you have TikTok coins and they're just sitting there getting dust, please. Thank you, Gracie. We appreciate the gifts so much. It shows that you support the serious work we're doing here on social media, through TikTok, and also listen to my radio show next Sunday morning. I'm on 11:30 to 1 WESUFM.org worldwide, NPR Pacifica Radio with Cosmic Eye. That's my radio show, 11:30 Eastern. So what you're saying is very true. You know, a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Dana, thank you. A lot of conspiracy theories all over the world, and with social media, everybody has a conspiracy theory of something, you know. But we have to divert, or not so much divert, but separate conspiracy theories with actual real information. That's why this show is so important, because I'm all about, and thank God I studied news media, you know, in college, and studied how to think in a way of asking questions and looking at things and just saying, oh yeah, you're right, that happened. I don't do that. You know, I'm not a zombie. You know, I'm a thinking, living, breathing human being that comes from Mars originally, here as a star seed. I have I'm a multiple chapter of many things cosmically, as Grace knows me personally, that everything I know is real. You know, whatever I share with you is real information. So what we have to do is be able to learn to separate theories versus information that is real, cosmically real, galactically real, whatever. If we deal with real information, that helps everybody. If we deal with theories, we can say, oh yeah, possibly the theory is that could have happened. Maybe that piece of wood will fall off on its own, or maybe it won't. You know, we can have a theory about wood falling off on its own from whatever it's falling off of, or we can have factual information saying, oh, I just chopped that branch off with a knife or something, or I just chopped that piece of wood off the tree because I got video of me chopping the wood off the tree. So that's factual information, right? I'm using that as an analogy. What I'm trying to say is, when it comes to the cosmic realm, the galactic area, the whole thing we're talking about, Grace is saying, is we have to start separating theory, you know, not cosmic, conspiracy theories from real information. Because you know, it's interesting to talk about conspiracies. Boy, I mean, I'm telling you, but isn't it better to have good information, especially with this subject? We want to have good information, because if I give you bad information, then I have to live with that. If Grace gives you bad information, she has to live with that. You know, I want to give you good information. You know, if I'm coming on TikTok or YouTube, I want my information to be good. I don't have to have a big TV studio. I don't have to have fancy lights coming down or whatever. If I know what I'm doing and I'm giving you good information, that's all you need to be here for, right? Is to share. That's what we do here. We share information. We have people that have been abducted on my show. We have people that are star seeds. We have people that have space beings that have come into their house on my on my TV show here. They've told their stories. They're all recorded. You know, talk about disclosure. That's what
Yes.
we do here. That's what we do here. We want to draw people out. That's why we're able to get people like ex-military people that find my show. They watch it. They listen. That's why Thomas said what he said, because he knew that the show's serious. He knows that we're real. We're not trying to get, you know, we're not trying to have the biggest 10 million thousand listeners, watchers here. You know, we're not here to try to outdo other creators on TikTok. I don't care if someone outdoes me on creating content on TikTok. It means nothing to me. What means more to me is having people with real information. The information is more important than whether I have a big studio or not, or have a big microphone. I don't care about that, right? Grace knows that. She knows me. It doesn't matter. I want to
Yeah.
know about the information. I want to know about what you know, what your
Wholesome
experience
and
is.
truthful.
Yep.
Wholesome and truthful. And you know, we like to talk about fun topics and things
Oh, we
that are
do.
interesting, and you know, and listen, there's a huge umbrella around this topic. You know, it really encompasses a lot of different subject matters. You know, we can get into paranormal topics. We can get into, you know, television and people, you know, radio, television, you know, contact. It goes on and on. The list can go on and on. You know, we've had so many interesting people on the program, and I've been doing this now with Commander for, it's got to be a year. I think we're coming up on a year anniversary.
Yeah. About a
When
year anniversary. Yeah. At least a year on TikTok. I was on Facebook, and I was pushed by some media friends of mine on radio. And other media said, "Hey, Commander, you need to go on TikTok." I said, "Why?" I said, "It's a bunch of kids." Get on here, and I was totally blown away. There were actually adults on here doing content, and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I came on here, to tell you the truth, because I could have done a whole program on healing modalities, cosmically and galactically. I said, you know what? I'm going to take my radio content for 20 years on radio, on NPR radio. I'm going to do a show here called Encounters. Best thing I ever decided to do. I meditated on it. I've been very happy to do late night shows here, and I met some fantastic people on my show who have been interviewed, and there's a lot of new people finding out about Encounters. Jackie, thank you for the galaxy. There's a lot of beautiful people, a lot of people that are new here. I know I just by seeing names popping up, I know there's a lot of really new people to the show. I hope you'll become longtime viewers, because it is a show that really does include people, and we don't try to exclude people. We really want to do hear your stories, and I know many of you, when you feel confident, will come on here and share the fact you've been visited by space people. And there are a lot of people out here that are contactees. You're having contacts. You might have been abducted. You might have had seen a spaceship the other night, or a bunch of spaceships in the sky above you. These are the kinds of stories that we love to include in our community here of people watching our show. And Grace knows that.
Yeah, it's a great show. And somebody in the chat goes, "All right already, we trust you."
I saw that, and we
That's
trust
gonna
you
be a
too. I
kid,
think it was
that's gonna be
Jenny
a
or something.
counter
Jenny, we
person.
love you, and we trust
I
you too.
love it. I
We
love it.
do. We
Just
love
all
you.
right already, all right already,
That's
we
all
trust
righty. All right. All right. All right. Will you get to the point?
But go check out
Yeah,
the C5 app, guys.
right.
Really hunt
That's right.
around. It's so full of like the coolest things. I mean, they have samples of, orbs and photography and like captures of
Right.
spacecraft and C5s, meditations, different meditation techniques. There's the puja, which is my favorite. And then I, of course, just love the new sounds. They're fabulous. And
Yeah.
the Fibonacci's is by far, I think the Fibonacci is so far, but I really like the Fibonacci, but I really like the chant in Gaza in the pyramid.
Oh, I
That's
can't wait to hear
incredible.
the new stuff on the C5 app. Like Grace said, everyone should download it. If you don't know what it is, Dr. Searinger has an app. If you have a Google Play or Apple, the app is like $10. It's a one-time fee. Download the app, learn how to use it. You also, in the contact section, networking section, there are names of people under your zip code, wherever you are or whatever country you're in. Put in whatever the similar thing is to a zip code. You'll see names of people interested in C5. You can make connections with people you don't even know in a little village in France and get together and do C5 together, which is kind of phenomenal. So, and then speaking of phenomenal, it's about 1:03 in the morning. So I don't want to do this, but I know that I need to. We're in the East Coast of the U.S., Grace's too. So we've done about 2 hours tonight, which is good. And so I want to thank Grace for being here. We'll be on tomorrow night at 11 o'clock, our regular time. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to again thank Thomas, ex-military, for coming on earlier in the show. And this show is recorded. Please go to my YouTube channel. I'll put this on there sometime tomorrow. You'll see this show again recorded on my YouTube channel, which is Ashtar Spaceship News. This show will be put on the YouTube channel. If you miss any of my shows, go to YouTube. You can watch all my previous shows. MC, thank you for the
I love
lemonade.
it. It's
We
so
appreciate.
cute.
I love lemonade. I can't tell you how much. Thank you for all your gifts. Thank you, One
Thank you all the
Toyota.
new people coming
All the
in.
new people.
So
Yes,
many cool
definitely all
people.
the new people who have found us. I'm glad you somehow found us here on TikTok. Out of all the garbage that's out there, you found something real here, and so we are real, and we're going to keep it that way. Everybody have
Yes.
a great week.
Thank
Tomorrow's
you
Monday.
guys.
Yeah, I wish it was the weekend. Stephanie, thank you for the roses. I'd love to have a few more days off just to chill out. But we just got through having a snowstorm, which wasn't too bad. We're in New England here, so we thought we were gonna have this big snowstorm, and thank goodness it wasn't as big as they said it was going to be. The
Yeah,
weather
really.
forecasters have a tendency to get excited and make it look like we're gonna have this big snowstorm. And I get out in the morning, and I was able to get my car out of the driveway, no problem. So there you go.
Yeah, it was really beautiful to watch the snow the other night. It was
Yes,
gorgeous.
it was. It was beautiful. All
Um,
right,
so-
buddy. Grace, thank you so much.
Good night,
Everybody, all the
man.
gifters,
Good night.
become a subscriber. I got 35 or 100 subscribers. Subscribing means you're helping us raise money for our night vision equipment. And if you subscribe, you feel that, oh, wow, I really like this show. I want to become a subscriber. Subscribe when you have the funds to subscribe. If you don't have any funds, don't worry about it. When you have the abundance to subscribe to my TikTok, please do. If you have the abundance to become a TikTok gifter, we do that too. We appreciate it. If you don't have any of those things and you're just a poor person that has the ability to come on here and watch, we thank you for coming here too. You know, we really appreciate Serenity. Thank you so much for the roses. And we're going to say good night. Kevin, thank you for the roses as well. We appreciate you so much. Everybody, Chris, thank you. Everybody out here, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.